Living today. Are you living a life of optimal health? Do you want to make changes in your life? Do you need help setting and achieving goals? Are you ready to reform and reshape your mind, body, and spirit? Are you looking for more balance in your life? Many of us are thinking about starting a better lifestyle program, both for ourselves and or our family. We all know how difficult it can be to motivate others when we ourselves are not motivated. Sometimes we all need a little help reaching our goals, and that's why Magnificent Living today is here for you.
Welcome to Magnificent Living Today. Today is going to be our season ending show. So Jennifer and I are here and we're going to talk about knowledge, wisdom, and vision. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
A mistake is simply another way of doing things. Katharine Graham.
Welcome back to Magnificent Living Today. Again, I'm your host, Laurel Powell. I'm going to first go over steps from Mr. Motivator. So now we've gone through a few of Mr. Motivator's steps. Today our step is knowledge, or be knowledgeable. But in order to be knowledgeable, you also have to remember that you have to be wise. Because knowledge is gathering the information. Wisdom is taking that information and actually making that information action. So when you take knowledge and add knowledge to action, then that becomes wisdom. So Jennifer and I are here and we're going to talk about knowledge and wisdom and the things that we've learned. And so we'll just go from there. So welcome, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm great, Carl. Good to be here.
Yeah. Always excited to be here. So we've already talked about this a little bit, but we were discussing how Maya Angelou said, when I knew better, I did better. Mm-hmm. And how that reflects back into so many situations in life when you think about people and people that you know. Because there are people definitely who I know better, who don't do better. And I think for me personally, I have to check myself because I am a student of the world. I want to learn everything. And when I learn something, I learn with intention. And often, while I'm learning, I'm not using my wisdom because I get really over-involved in the process of learning, and I forget the things that I already know. And I believe that life is conclusive and cohesive so that all of the things that I'm learning are going to be used later on as wisdom. Mm-hmm. But I'm very careful at acknowledging that everything that I learned today may not apply to what's going to happen in the next week or the next year or the next month. But if I hold on to that, eventually one day, that little nugget of knowledge, I'll be able to turn that back around, use it as it becomes wisdom.
And it's going to come to you at the right time, too, exactly when you need it. Yeah. Absolutely. Automatically, I'm thinking about my exercise program, and I have all the tools, to get to my goal. But why, what's keeping me from doing that, And so I have to take another look at myself and, really sit down and map out the plan that I want to design, map out a plan to fulfill my goals. So I know that even though I have the knowledge and even the wisdom, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm not supposed to be perhaps reaching for the extra dessert, or I know I need to be getting up and exercising, but I'm not always doing that. And so it's putting one foot in front of the other, pairing the wisdom and the knowledge together, and then taking those steps, looking at today. Okay, what can I do? I'm so proud of myself. I got up early, 5 a.m. this morning. I was working out, and I got my workout done. Now I can continue with the rest of my day, and I don't have to think about it. And so for me, it's creating that plan and pairing the knowledge and wisdom together so that I can create what I'm looking for. And in other respects, using wisdom and knowledge when you're dating and in love and relationships. I mean, we could have a whole show about this, Carl, just talking about that. And understanding what you want and knowing what you want, now being wise about the choices that you make. So it's, again, wisdom, knowledge, they go hand in hand, I think, and it's taking those steps forward to where you want to go so that you can accomplish your goal.
And like I was saying, I'm a student of life. So I try to learn everything that I can get my hands on. Audrey was here a few weeks ago, and she was making something with polymer clay. And the next day I went over her house and I created a silverware set that I gave to my mother for Mother's Day.
Nice.
And, you know, I worked and sanded, and it took forever to do. But now that's one more thing I have to add to my skill set. And I just believe that that's what wisdom teaches you. Wisdom teaches you that the more things that you have in your skill set, the more things that you have in your toolbox, the better off you're going to be further on down the road, because life is going to present those situations at the times when we don't expect them. You know, life doesn't happen the way we expect, period.
Exactly.
I always tell people, whatever you're most afraid of, that's not going to be the thing that happens. The thing that's going to happen that's going to affect your entire life is the thing that's going to happen on Tuesday afternoon when you have absolutely no idea, you know, you're not even thinking about something happening. Those are the times when things happen. I would say whatever we expect to happen usually doesn't happen. So whatever you're worried about, wisdom has shown me that I've wasted a whole lot of time in worrying about, should I do this? Should I do that? Even though I have the knowledge base. I have the knowledge base to know that I shouldn't eat this. I have the knowledge base to know, you know, that if I stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to feel good at 6 o'clock in the morning when I have my first client. But there are often times I get involved in learning. And just recently I started learning how to edit video. And the first time I turned on the video, the editing program, and looked at it, I just sat there and looked at it for about an hour and thought, okay, what do I do? And so I started pushing buttons. And the next thing I knew, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. But to me, I'm like a sponge when it comes to learning. So I'm always trying to grab as much knowledge as possible. I find that most of my friends tend to be older than me. And I love being around people that are older because they just spout off words of wisdom without ever even having to think about it.
You're able to learn from them so much.
For example, yesterday, the bottom end of my car, there's a little piece of plastic and it was hanging off. And so me, being not the car person, I was like, I'm going to take it to the shop and I'm going to get it fixed. So my friend Audrey, who I'll talk about often, she comes over and she looks at the car and she says, well, there's got to be a way you can fix it. And I was like...
You yourself?
Yeah, fixing myself. And I'm like, no, I don't really know anything about cars. And she said, lay down and look under the car. And then she said, is there a groove that fits into? So I looked under and I bent it back a little bit and fit it into the groove. And then she said, now we're going to go to my house and I'm going to give you some Gorilla Tape. We're going to tape that up and now you've saved yourself $50.
There you go.
You know? And that was just wisdom because she had that happen to her before.
Learning from experience.
Right. But with her, it's a constant learning process. I wanted to make a bracelet. Well, yeah, I have these 3 bracelets, and I have to mention my 3 bracelets because they say positivity, and they were given to me, and I always just assumed that it meant positive mental attitude. And my friend Rosemary gave them to me for Christmas, and I wore them for a year, and after a year they started to stretch. And so I wanted to order a new set. And I went on the internet, looked up the company, and found out that the company was called Choose Hope, and they sell products, and the products that they sell, a portion of the proceeds goes back to cancer research. And knowledge. Yeah. My knowledge is that if you find something and you like it, like I love these bracelets, I wear them day and night, I never take them off because every time I look down and see positivity, I can't help but think positive. And so I called her on the phone and I said, you know, I've been in business for myself for 30 years. And what my knowledge has taught me is that when you're in a small business, we're here to help each other.
Right.
So I said, well, sure, I'll say, I got these from you, and I'll put your name at the end of the credits. And we can sit back and we can brainstorm about how we can further our relationship. But for me, wisdom has taught me that don't be afraid to ask. And a lot of people want to ask, but it's okay to be naive. People forget that. There are a lot of people you can have a conversation with, and they're looking at you like they understand exactly what you're saying to them. But in truth, they have no idea, and they don't have the knowledge or the wisdom to say, excuse me, but I didn't understand that. And I'm the first person to say, excuse me, but could you explain that because I want to understand. And I think that that's part of wisdom. Wisdom teaches me that I can be intelligent, I can be knowledgeable, but I can also be naive.
Yeah, you're still learning. You don't have to know everything. I mean, that's why we have so many wonderful teachers around us to, show us, like fixing the car,
Right.
and just teach us things that we're not aware of. And I also think, in regards to wisdom, that each of us has this divine wisdom inside of us, this inner knowing.
Right.
And it's important that we tap into that. And by tapping in, I mean getting quiet with ourselves, taking the time to just feel the stillness around you and listen to that voice, that gentle voice that you will always hear when you take the time to get quiet. So it's that inner knowing, that inner wisdom. I mean, sometimes, I'm working with people, and depending on whatever the situation is, they'll have like these moments where they'll say, gosh, I knew that, something told me that. That's that inner wisdom. That's that inner knowing that all of us have, that if we get still enough and listen to it, we can really heed what they're saying.
Well, most of us are afraid of what we know. And the fear of your knowledge is definitely a distraction from wisdom, because you have to know it, and then you have to believe it, and then you have to apply it. And oftentimes, I see people in situations where they come to me and they're explaining a situation to me, and they're telling me the situation from a victim standpoint. But knowledge has taught me that life is situational, but no situation comes without a reason. So when a situation arrives, what I do is I put the situation down, and I say, okay, this is the situation. Now I have a choice here. I can either be the victor or the victim. Which one do I choose? And the victim gives in and says, okay, well, now I don't understand, and this is too hard for me, and you get into all of that chatter.
Yeah.
But if you're ready to be the victor, you go in and you say, these circumstances have been laid before me. And some of them have obstacles. I'm going to have to do a couple of jumps. I'm going to have to leap a couple of hurdles. But you know what? Wisdom has taught me at the end of this is going to be something that I can hold on to for the rest of my life and store in my skill set. And so don't fear what's hard. Don't be afraid to learn what's hard. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because back to my artwork, I'm very good with my hands when it comes to computers and things like that. When it comes to art,
not so much.
not so much. But instead of being afraid of it, I just say to Audrey, okay, I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna watch, and you do it the first time. And she's very good at, I'm not gonna do this for you. I'll teach it to you, but I'm not gonna do this for you. And she'll lay out the project, and we'll talk about exactly how we're gonna do it. Now I have the knowledge, right? And then I go back, but wisdom has taught me that if she leaves me alone for 5 minutes, the next thing I know, something's crooked or is not quite right. So I say, you sit right there and you watch me do it. But each time that I ask her to do something for me, I really appreciate that she doesn't say, here, just give it to me, I'll do it.
Right.
She instead says, no, you're going to come and you're going to learn this. And through that process, it really has evoked me in more situations in my life to, instead of asking someone to do something for me, I ask them to do it with me. And because when they do it with me, then I can get the knowledge, and then I can take that knowledge and then develop that back into wisdom for myself.
Because you learn by doing,
right?
And
I would say you can't teach anyone else anything without teaching yourself something.
Always.
So I think we have to all learn to be the teacher and the student at all times.
Absolutely. I mean, I am honored to work with my clients, and in working with them, I learned so much. And so I completely agree with that. It's allowing yourself to feel that vulnerability where you don't have to know everything. It's okay to learn from other people.
Right.
And then you, in turn, which is something I love, is going to be able to teach it to someone else.
Exactly.
Because there's going to someone else is going to come along, and they're not going to know everything either. So you're going to be able to pay it forward.
Yeah, and that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is taking knowledge combining your knowledge with your knowing, because you know, knowledge and knowing are a little bit different. Because you can know something intellectually, and then spiritually you know something, and you end up making the wrong choice. And that's just because I know this intellectually, but my inner being spiritually is telling me something different. And this knowing is the knowing that's going to take you to wisdom.
Right.
Because you have to take the information that you get, filter it through your spiritualities, filter it through your belief system. Because there are a lot of things that I know that I don't believe. And there are a lot of things that I've learned that I don't necessarily want to apply into my skill set, into my knowledge base or my wisdom base. So I think that's just the difference between making your decisions on what is good, what is bad, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then taking all that information, putting it together, and then calling it wisdom.
Yeah, and having that confidence in yourself that, you know, you can make the best decision for you. You know, just because everyone else is doing it, you don't necessarily have to do it. So it's knowing yourself, believing in yourself too, that, you know, you're making the right decisions for your life.
So we're going to come back in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about making decisions in our romantic life.
Yes.
And creating vision. So we're going to talk about vision in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Nelson Mandela.
Welcome back to Magnificent Living today. Now I'm here with Jennifer, and we're going to talk about vision. So I'll let Jennifer introduce her subject, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Carl. Well, as we're single and dating and, you know, we're meeting different partners, I think it's so important not only to look at our partners and who we want to bring into our life, but also to look at our life as a whole. When I work with clients, I'm working with them to attract the love of their life. And life is in there in big capital letters, L-I-F-E. And what that means is we don't live in a bubble where it's just going to be us and our partner. You know, we have family, we have work, we have friends, we have interests, we have hobbies. And so it's looking at the overall scope of everything, looking at our entire life. What do we want that to look like? And so I often ask my clients, you know, when it's your 80th birthday, what do you want, you know, to look, what do you want people to say about you, number one, at your 80th birthday celebration? And when you look back at your life when you're 80 years old, what is it that you want to see? You know, what are some of the things that you want to say that you've done, or at least tried to do? And so I think it's important to look at your life when you're single, especially when you're single, because this is your opportunity. Being single is not a disease.
Again, it's not a four-letter word.
It's not a four-letter word. It really is an opportunity for you. And so it's important that single men and women just take advantage of this time that they have alone, creating the life that they want. So singles, I think, need to really open up and look at what is it that they want for their life. You now have the freedom and flexibility to create your life the way you want, how you want, where you want. If you want to tour Europe for a year, you can pick up and go and do that, you know, if you don't have any other, you know, obligations that are keeping you here. So it's really looking at what do you want for your life and creating that vision.
I'm just learning so many things about myself, being single for 8 months now. There were a lot of things in life that I just didn't pay attention to. The car, for example. The car, I would have naturally not thought, oh, let me try to fix this myself. My first inkling would be, let me take this to the shop because that's what they do. But just stepping outside of who I perceived Carl as before and who Carl can become, I said, well, Carl can probably do this. And I'm finding myself, like with cooking, I probably spent a good 15 years where I cooked nothing. And for the last 8 months, I've been cooking, and I've been on the internet, and I get recipes, and I don't just get the recipe. I get the recipe, and then I think, okay, how can I jazz this up a little bit? How can I make it a little bit more me? And I've been experimenting. My mother and I are both getting fat just with my experiments, because what I haven't learned yet
She's a guinea pig.
what I haven't learned yet is portion. You know, when I want to cook for a family of 5, you know, I start to cook, and the next thing I realize my mother is just for 2 people, and wow, boy, did I make a lot of food.
Right.
You know, so yeah, if it is interesting, I planted a garden over the weekend. I have never planted anything in my life except planted myself on the couch and watched television. That was the only planting that I'd ever done, and it just felt so great. I went outside first, and I was like, well, what do I do? So I went on the internet, and it said you have to till the soil.
What does that mean?
Yeah. What's that mean? So I learned that. So I went out and I tilled all the soil. I dug it all up and made it soft. And then I went out and I got potting soil and I mixed with it and I let that sit for 2 days. And then I went out and I got my. So I was just reading. I'm just reading and learning as I went along. But the process of when I actually got outside and started putting my hands in the dirt, it actually was so relaxing and so. What's the word? Just I felt so alive in that moment, so close to the earth, so free from all of the preconceived notions I had about myself not being, not having a green thumb. I'd stopped to think about it. Next thing I know, I had planted tomatoes, I planted basil, I planted peppers, and it just was a wonderful thing. And being in a relationship, before, I was often just too busy or so involved in what was happening with the relationship that I never took time to plant a garden or to cook or to try to fix my own car or to try to create the silverware. So I'm learning that for me personally, being single, this has been a really good time because I'm rediscovering who Carl is at 50.
Exactly.
Because who Carl was at 40 is not who Carl is at 50. It's not possible. I mean, it might be possible, but not possible for me. And so I'm finding this for me, this is a really exhilarating time because I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much about my heart and the things that are most important to me. And I think before I was operating on life as I learned it on the relationship. I was looking for the relationship that I saw on television. You know, I was looking for that perfect relationship, and everything was perfect, and you were always together. You know, because you see television shows where the couples just never seem to separate; they do everything together.
Right.
And life just can't, like you said, life can't just work that way.
No, no. And I love that, Carl, because, like you said, you've rediscovered who you are, and I love how you've removed the blocks and limitations that might have held you back, like. You might not have gone out to garden and learn how to do that before. You might not have learned to cook and, you know, make all these different dishes. And now, you know, like you said, as you're single, you're really taking this time to figure out, what do I like? What do I like to do? You know, what's something that might be fun that I've always wanted? And you're giving it a try. And that's what I encourage singles to do, because this is a prime time to create the life that you want. And I ask them often, what does that look like for you? You know, is it gardening? Is it, you know, going back to school, starting a new occupation? Is it traveling the world? I'll tell you what it is not. It is not sitting at home and moping because you're not in a relationship.
Right, exactly.
That's what it's not. And so this is such a rich time in your life, and how can you take advantage of it? What's something that you've always wanted to do but have never done? What's the smallest thing you could do today to accomplish that goal? And so, I love hearing about that, because I feel like you're not only rediscovering yourself, but you're just exploring life all over again.
Yeah. You know, and just going back to knowledge, I've always had the knowledge that Carl could do these things, but it's very easy to fall into the relationship where you move in with someone and they cook every day, and then you don't want to cook anymore.
You get used to it.
Or they've been to culinary school, so you go to cook something and you feel like, okay, my meal's not going to be as good as yours, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you do that because I don't feel as skilled as you in that situation.
Right.
Gardening also. I was in a situation where gardening just didn't happen. So it didn't happen at the house, and so it just didn't happen. And this is the first time that it just crossed my mind. I was looking outside, and I thought it would be really pretty if there was a garden over in that corner. And I think being alone has opened me up to, let's discover what Carl can do. You know, let's discover who Carl can be. and it can't help but make me a better partner in the future.
Exactly.
But I'm not focusing in on let me learn these things so I'm a better partner. My focus is not learning for my partner. My focus is learning for me. Then I grab that knowledge, I can twist that around into wisdom, and then when I go to approach the person who I want to have that relationship with, I'll have the wisdom to go in, with my guns loaded. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's key. You're learning these skills because it's what you want to do. It's not to impress someone else. And so you're listening, when we talk about vision, it's really looking at our inner guidance system, like our inner GPS, so to speak, and figuring out what is it that we like, what do we enjoy, how can we add more of that into our life. And so, during this time period when you're creating your vision, it's also important to look at releasing the past. So whatever didn't work out, whoever walked out, there's nothing that you can do about that right now. What's done is done, and it's important to take this time to let go, to forgive. And while you're doing that, also create this dynamic life that you want. As far as I know, we only get one life. So what do you want it to be?
Yeah, exactly. And Thomas Edison said, results, boy, I have a million of them. I know a million things that don't work. And that's the part about this part of your life, is discovering the things that don't work also. Don't be afraid to go out and try something. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not a bad thing. It just didn't work.
And all the things that don't work, eventually what does that do? It leads you to what does work.
Exactly, right.
So, absolutely. So, I just want to remind singles that this is such a special time in your life that you really can take the opportunity to rediscover who you are, explore life, and create the life that you want. So that when your partner comes, he or she is an addition to your life,
right.
And it's just going to add to the richness and fullness of that relationship.
Well, what I'm learning is that when you take the relationship, or having a relationship, and put the focus on you, you're just creating a better you.
Yeah.
And a better you is going to meet a better partner.
Yes.
Yeah. And we had this conversation, and I said, I don't want to meet anyone right now because I'm in the middle of growth. And while I'm growing, I want to grow, and when I grow to the point where I'm reaching up high enough, that person's going to be there. I just know that.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to be down here. And so I want to meet someone who is as ambitious as I am, maybe not in the same place, or who's as driven as I am, maybe not in the same places, who loves life, absolutely, who loves to laugh, because we all know there's nothing more than Carl loves than just to laugh and let it go.
I say laughing is the best calorie burner.
So do you have any suggestions for our viewers before we go out?
I do. As far as creating the life that you want, I would encourage you to just sit back, close your eyes, and just think about, if this is the perfect day of my life, how would I want that to go? Just start to think about what is it that I'd be doing? Who would I be spending my day with? What would I be eating? What would I be wearing? And so as you do that, you start to evoke these feelings inside of you. You start to stir, oh gosh, I'd like to learn how to create artwork. I used to do art in the past. That's something that, if I was having the perfect day, in my life, I would be doing. And so you're starting to really look at what is it that you enjoy so you can put more of that back into your life. I mean, so many times, we're on this treadmill where we have that 9-to-5 job, and you're working the 9 to 5, and then you come home and you tend to your responsibilities and commitments, and then you go to bed. If you're lucky, you get a few good hours of sleep, and then you get up and you do it all over again. And there's no fun, there's no enjoyment, there's no peace, there's no balance in that. So really, just taking that time to go within and figure out what is it that brings me joy? What do I like to do? And that's going to start you on that road of figuring out, how do I want to create the life that is going to bring me the most joy and the most peace and the most, amazing things. And then as you're doing that, you're going to be able to start, again, attracting that right partner who's going to be attracted to the person that you are.
Well, I'm staying away from the shade because I want to grow. I'm sticking to the sunshine because I really do believe that. I believe that life happens and there are periods of your life that are for different things. And I really feel as though God has given me this opportunity to explore Carl and find out what are Carl's possibilities.
Yes.
And I think very important for us to go back in when we are single and look at who am I in my own eyes. Because when you're partnered, you always have that other person's opinion to help guide your day. For example, if you wake up, and I've used this before, and that your partner says, oh, you're in a bad mood today, you carry that with you one way or the other. You either carry it with you like, okay, I wasn't in a bad mood when I woke up, but now that you said that, I'm not feeling so good.
Right.
Or, I was in a bad mood, but I can be in a bad mood sometimes. Is that okay? So either way, that affects the remainder of your day. You know, it's going to be there. And I like waking up and saying, Carl, how do you feel today? And then moving from there. And so I'm just learning that in the time that you're single, take the time to know you. Because the better that you know yourself, the better you know what you want. So it's knowledge, it's vision, it's wisdom.
Yes.
And then we put those together and we like just balance our heart.
Balance your heart and have the greatest life ever.
Okay. Jennifer and I are going to be back in just a minute. We're going to exercise with you, so don't go anywhere and get your exercise gear on. We're ready to work out. We'll see you in a minute.
A wise man is superior to any insults which can be put upon him, and the best reply to unseemly behavior is patience and moderation. Moliere.
Welcome back to Magnificent Living Today. Now it's time for our exercise segment. Today we're going to be doing an intermediate Pilates workout, working our core muscle group. And again, that's your transverse abdominis, your internal external obliques, the muscles of your pelvic floor, the muscles of your inner and outer thighs. So we're going to really focus on all of the core, the smaller muscle groups also. So our breath is always in through your nose, opening your mouth with a percussive breath, and pulling your abdominals back as you exhale. So Jennifer and I are going to get started. Today we're going to be using the magic circle. If you don't have one, not important, but easy to find at any sporting goods store. So Jennifer, let's just lay down. We don't need a circle yet.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start in a neutral position. Our hands are along the sides. Your chin is tilted forward. And then just allow your shoulder blades to melt into your mat so your upper back is tension free. We're going to bring our right leg up for the single leg stretch. Right leg up. We're going to bring our right leg up for the single leg stretch. We're going to inhale as we stretch forward. And as you exhale, you're just going to bring the knee back directly over your hip. And again, inhale as you stretch the leg away. Exhale, knee directly over your hip. Using the breath, we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale as you pull back. And just 1 more breath. Inhale as you stretch. Exhale as you pull back, hand behind that right thigh. And stretch your leg back. And just take some long, deep breaths. Remember, you always want to be at the edge of your stretch. So that's the place where you know you're working, but you are not in pain. Breathe. We're going to inhale. Next exhalation, just lift up your head and extend your nose toward your thigh. So now we're stretching the back of the neck and the shoulder area. Long, deep breaths. Extending the right leg all the way up. We're going to stretch up. The left leg is going to slide all the way forward. And then just take some long, deep breaths. Breathe. Take another breath, grow 1 more inch, and then easy peel the upper body down. Right foot is going to point and flex, just limbering the foot. And then we're going to flex the heel and rock the heel side to side, inversion and eversion. Create a circle with your foot. And then reverse the direction of your circle. Give your foot a little shake out. Soften your knee. Left hand across, right hand on the floor. We're going to go across your center line. And be careful. You want to keep both shoulder blades firmly planted on your mat. And then just use your breath. Long, deep breaths. Breathe. Always working towards the edge. Breathe. Always working with intention. We're going to slowly begin to roll our spinal column back onto the mat. Right leg comes down and that left foot comes up. Hands along your sides. Single leg stretch. Inhale when you stretch. Exhale as you pull back. And again, inhale, stretching. Exhale, pull back. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale as you stretch. Exhale as you pull back. Just 1 more. We're going to inhale. And then exhale as you pull back. Hands behind the thigh. And just stretch that knee back toward your shoulder. And take some long, deep breaths. Breathe. And then easy, just lift up your head and stretch your nose towards your thigh. Long, deep breaths. Left leg extends all the way up, stretch. And your right leg's going to come forward, reach through, and just take some long, deep breaths. Breathe. Stretch. Utilize the breath. Keep stretching, always working towards your edge. 2 more breaths. Breathe. And then easy, relax the upper body down. Left foot, point and flex. And then easy, flex and hold, rock your heels side to side. You're going to create your circle. And then reverse it in direction. Give your foot a little shake out. Soften your knee. Hand across the thigh, hand on the floor. Keep both shoulder blades on the mat. And just twist across and stretch. Breathe. Long, deep breaths. Breathe. Two more breaths. And then easy, slowly, you're going to roll your spine back onto the mat. Oh, the wonders of cable television. Anything can happen. Both knees are going to come in, hands behind your thighs. You're going to make a little circle and just massage your low back. And what we're doing here is we're warming up the fascia around the muscle because the muscles are fascially connected. And then reverse the direction of that circle. Breathe. Knees are going to come into you and lift up your head when you inhale. And exhale, we're just going to roll ourselves up. Wrap your arms around your legs and just relax your head weight forward and stretch the back of your neck. And just breathe. All right, ready to get started. Let's find our magic circle. And then we're going to roll ourselves all the way back down. We're going to place the magic circle in between our inner thighs. And then you're going to squeeze your thighs together. So you want to create an oval with your magic circle. Then this is going to stabilize your pelvis and your legs as we go through the exercise. The right hand is going to go behind the base of your head. The left hand is going to go out onto the side, onto the floor. We're going to inhale. As we exhale, we're going to float the head 2 to 3 inches away from the floor. That's called a head float. And that will be our returning position also. So as we inhale, we're going to twist, keeping the elbow away from the ear. And then as you exhale, you're going to float back to the center, right back to your head float. And we're going to do that again. Inhale as you twist. And exhale. Breathing 6 times. Inhale 6. And release. How's those inner thighs feeling? Breathe for 5. Twisting, breathing for 4. Just 3 to go. Inhale, twist. And center. Last 2. Twist, breathe. One more breath. And then let the head just float down, change hands. And we'll take a few breaths. And notice that the inner thigh muscles are still working. You notice that, right?
Oh, yeah. I can feel it.
All right, let's organize. Hand behind the base of the head on the left side, hand on the floor on the right side. Inhale. As you exhale, float your head 2 to 3 inches away from the floor. Right here, you can begin to feel the abdominals support the weight of the head. And then we're going to begin by keeping the elbow away from the ear and twisting to the right. Inhale. And again, it's not how high you twist or how high you lift. It's the intention of your movement. Inhale as you twist. And exhale, breathe. Breathing for 6. Momentum free. So muscles are working all the way through. And twist, breathe. Exhale. We have 4 to go. Inhale as you twist. Exhale as you come to the center. One more time, we're going to inhale and twist. And exhale, come to center. Float your head down, remove your magic circle. That felt good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Relief.
And then we're going to get our magic circle and just place our palms on the outside. Fingertips are pointing upward, thumbs pointing backward. We're going to focus on engaging our abdominals with control. So you're going to stretch the magic circle overhead when you inhale. And then as you exhale, engage your abdominals, pulling them in toward your spine as you exhale. And again, inhale, stretch. And exhale right over your chest using focus. We're going to add a little action with a double leg stretch. Feet are going to come up and together, maintaining the natural curve in your low back, neutral spine. We're going to stretch the legs forward as the magic circle goes back. And then exhale as you pull in. And again, stretch away as you inhale. And exhale as you pull in. Breathe for 6. Stretch. Engage your abdominals. Breathe for 5. Stretch. And breathe for 4. Breathe for 3. Just 2 more. One more breath. Circle in and step down 1 foot at a time. Next exercise, we're going to be going side to side and we're going to be working on those love handles. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend both feet up and place the magic circle in between your shins and your calves. And again, if you don't have the magic circle, not important, just can have your feet just about hip distance apart. Hands are going to go out to the sides. We're going to go to the right side, inhale, keep both shoulder blades firmly planted, and then using abdominal strength opposed to momentum, pull to the center. Left side, inhale. You want to avoid using that momentum as you come up. Right side for 6. And pull. Breathe for 5. And pull. Breathe for 4. And pull. Breathe for 3. Pull. Just 2 more. One more breath. And don't kill me, Jennifer. We're about to keep going. We're going to bring our hands along the sides. This is the all or nothing round. You're going to inhale as you lower your legs. And then as you exhale, engage your abdominal strength pulling back up. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, really engage. Pull those abdominals in towards your spine. Breathe for 6. We're coming up. And pull. We're going to be strong, stretched, and centered by the end. Breathe for 3. I gotta watch. If I talk too much, I lose count.
Oh no, I won't let you.
Breathe for 2. One more breath. And then you just come in, remove your magic circle. We're going to step the right leg through. You're going to pad the back of your calf muscle. And the rule of thumb generally is you always want to avoid locking your joints. You always want to keep your joints just slightly softened. We're just going to stretch the leg back. And we want to avoid creating tension in our upper body as we stretch. Remember, our intention is always to relax and to avoid creating tension in other parts of the body. So if I was stretching my legs but I was pulling back too tight, I'd be creating tension in my upper bodies. And we don't want that. We want to be tension free. Let's take 2 more breaths. Stretch. And then easy soften and release. We'll step the opposite foot through. Pad the back of your calf muscle and just stretch that leg back. And take some long, deep breaths. And again, tension-free upper body, neck, shoulders, facial muscles. Avoid creating tension. Breathe. Two more breaths. And then easy, we're just going to soften. Step out. Place your magic circle on the side. Hands behind your thighs one more time and lift up your head. We're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're just going to roll up and come to a cross-leg position. Hand on the thigh left, right hand on the mat. Lift up your chest, twist, turn, and stretch around. Spine twist. Just releasing the spine. And remember to use your eyes also. Remember, you have muscles all around your eyes, your optical muscles. And they also need their workout. Breathe. And then easy, slowly, we're going to come to the center. And just change sides, press into the floor, lift up, twist around, and just breathe. Chest is lifted, shoulders twisting around, chin is level with the floor. Use the eyes, breathe. Two more breaths, stay active, always working towards that edge. Let's easy, slowly bring ourselves back to the center. We'll lace our fingers together, stretch the arms forward, look downward, and then reach the upper back as you stretch your arms forward. This is one of my favorite stretches. Breathe. You carry a lot of tension in those upper back muscles. And this exercise is actually pulling those upper back muscles away from the spinal column. So it's giving you some relief. Breathe. Great thing to do if you're sitting at a desk all day long, kind of hunched over. And I'll give you another one. We're going to lift the head up and just take your hands behind you. Then you're just going to lift up your heart and look up. And this is a good way to change the way gravity works with our body all day long. Gravity is pulling us forward. So now we're just working against gravity. Breathe. Think about lifting your heart up towards the ceiling and just stretch. We're going to take two more breaths here. Go to your edge, reach, breathe. And then easy, slowly. Come forward. We're going to stretch the hands up, lengthen up. And then coming forward from your waistline, you're just going to stretch over. Relax your hands, relax your head, inhale. And then exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae. Just roll up the spine. And go into long and lifted. This is the part where I say thank you for joining us. Mind. Body. mind, body, and spirit, while balancing your heart. And one more time, you are magnificent. You are powerful. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time, because we're going to be gone for a few weeks. So we'll see you soon.